water came over the front, and I do kind of remember him saying, "This is it."
Facing death,
Lightning, thundering,
changes a person.
and we were just being tossed around like a tinker toy.
Rebecca Owens vividly remembers the rescue that saved her life almost 40 years ago.
Unbelievable that somebody was in the middle of that.
At this bend on Lake Palestine, a sudden, violent storm flipped their deck boat.
It was at that point that I realized that prayer was the only answer we had. We were a long way from shore.
Becky, her husband Rodney, their family and friends, 4 adults and 4 kids, had little hope.
We were there for 4 hours, tossing on the waves. I just remember asking the Lord, please send somebody, please let somebody see us.
Eventually, someone did. A man on a dock spotted them through a rifle scope and set out in the storm.
So I realized it was a red skeeter boat, and I was like, a bass boat, God? Really?
Yeah.
A bass boat.
But there was a problem with his boat's bilge hose, and it began taking on water. Somehow, over 2 trips, they all made it to shore. Their prayers were answered.
God did give my husband more time. He did accept Christ. My daughter all of our children accepted Christ.
Over time, though, something was unfinished.
We didn't know how to get a hold of the people who had rescued us and who had given us all of this loving care.
It's something she's prayed about for 37 years. Then last summer, Facebook delivered an unexpected opportunity. It started with a post from her pastor, Perry Crisp, who was preparing a sermon.
And I said 25 words or less. Tell me about a time when something went wrong in your life and God turned it around into something good.
Becky knew just a story.
So I just posted a few brief comments about Lake Palestine.
That grabbed the attention of Bud Allred, who never expected to see those words.
I realized at that moment, I said, that was me, so I called her.
I'm like, well, what does Bud Allred want with me?
Listen, I got the end of your story. And it's about God. It's about what God can do. Look what he's done.
Revealing a new chapter to a relationship that seemingly began and ended so long ago.
I was just jumping up and down, just realizing that God had given us a little spillover of heaven, because we got to kind of close the loop on something that had happened 37 years earlier. We're an hour and a half north of here where we go to church. They weren't even from the area. We had moved several times, and for God to give us this opportunity to come together and to prove that he is God.
It was a very emotional moment, and then to realize that this is really a friend of yours that you've known for about 4 years and have worked with off and on and admired and looked up to, and that God had brought that story full circle.
This was too powerful to remain private. Becky and Rodney surprised their kids and their congregation with this unlikely reunion.
He has transformed Rodney and I for his honor and glory. It is all about him.
My faith was strong before, but man, it just put an amen and just an exclamation point on my life, that even the small things that we do and big things, that God has a purpose.
Returning to the same spot where those 8 lives were saved, there's now an unmistakable peace.
And that's just the way God works. You're going to have those stormy days, and he's going to hold your hand through it. When you see days like this, you remember how he has led you through.
Bringing closure to a tragedy that almost was.
God be the glory.
That's right.
Great and awesome things he has done.
Lane Luckie, East Texas News Weekend.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Mm.